What is going on, everybody? In this video, I'm going to be going through my official 12-team playoff prediction and national championship prediction. And I'm going to predict every single game in the bracket and ultimately predict who I think will take home the 2026 national title on January 19th. And before we do that, let's look at the 12 teams that got into the college football playoffs via the committee. And as the one seed, the only undefeated team left in college football, it does belong to Indiana. There was no other way around it. That trench play is so elite and that staff is so elite. And Fernando Mendoza might just be the number one pick in the 2026 NFL draft. And they definitely deserve the one seed. At the two seed, I'm glad Ohio State didn't drop behind Georgia because they played Indiana really close and they were undefeated all year up to this point. They have a very elite defense and they have a very good 1-2 out wide receiver in Connell Tate, Jeremiah Smith. They do have some concerns though on the offensive line, and sometimes the run game is weak. They're not perfect and they do have weak spots, but that just seems how all these teams are in college football. As the 3 seed, they have the SEC winner Georgia Bulldogs. Fair enough. Their only loss comes to Alabama, and they avenged that loss in a blowout fashion. Kirby Smart has this team playing their best football. I would love to see more from the offense, though. As the 4 seed, they put Texas Tech in. This might be the most ruthless front seven in the nation. Maybe Indiana and Ohio State have better overall defenses, but when you look at a front seven that can wreak havoc, it is Texas Tech. I don't think there's a better front seven in the nation. The offensive line is a little bit weak, and I don't know if they're going to be able to compete with the best of the best in the playoffs, but that defense is very good. As the 5 seed, they have Oregon. Oregon's in a perfect position in this bracket. They have their top 3 wide receivers out due to injury, but they're still playing their best football. Dante Moore can step up when he needs, but a lot of the times this run game can run for over 200 yards a game. Oregon is looking very good, and they are set up to go on a deep run. As the 6th seed, they have Ole Miss. Ole Miss did lose Lane Kiffin, and there are some questions with that defense. We'll see how they do, but nonetheless, they had a very solid season, and they don't belong much lower. The 7th seed is Texas A&M. They had the one loss to Texas. This team lives and dies by Marcel Reed. If Marcel Reed's playing his A-plus game, this team can beat anybody, but there's also times where there's just too much pressure on him and he turns the ball over. The secondary is weak, but this pass rush is very elite. They could definitely cause problems in the playoffs. I still think there is talent for A&M, but they are also one of the most inconsistent teams in this thing. The 8 seed is Oklahoma. It's pretty simple, an elite defense and a pretty bad offense, nothing special. The 9 seed is Alabama, and I could say the same thing with Alabama. They have a very good defense, but a pretty poor offense. When you are rushing for -3 rushing yards, you know there's a problem. Now look, Ty Simpson is good at times, but he is not a game changer at quarterback. Kalen DeBoer got very lucky in 2023 with that Washington squad. 3 true NFL wide receivers and Michael Penix, who was a difference maker. I don't know if he's ever going to be able to lead a team to the big stage again. In this era of college football, I think DeBoer needs to establish a run game because leaning on the passing game moving forward might not work. And here's the controversy. After all season Notre Dame being pretty far ahead of Miami, Miami finally jumps Notre Dame because of the tiebreaker. They are the 10 seed. I am disappointed Notre Dame got left out. I think this team could have made a run at the national title. Miami less so, but they have showed some good things, and they are definitely one of the more talented teams in the nation. So I do not think whoever they play is just going to blow them out. Did Miami deserve to be in over Notre Dame? Of course, but it is disappointing to see a very good team like Notre Dame get left out after a 10-game winning streak. They were playing their best football. And as the 11 and 12 seeds, nothing special. You have Tulane and James Madison. They need to fix this format. All of the auto bids are just taken too far. I say move to 16 teams, put the 16 best teams in. No auto bids, no first round buys. But who am I to say I don't run things? Regardless, Tulane and James Madison are probably going to get first round exited. So let's move on to predicting the bracket. Speaking of James Madison, they will play 5 seed Oregon in the first round. And like I said, I don't expect James Madison or Tulane to really battle. I think Oregon will blow out James Madison. It's going to be similar to that 2023 game against Liberty where they won like 45-6, I believe. But it is cool that Oregon will be hosting a home playoff game. I'm looking forward to that. The 6 seed Ole Miss will play 11 seed Tulane. I do think it's going to be closer this time around. Tulane has a good staff with John Summerall. He'll make adjustments. And Tulane has been alright at stopping the pass this year, so they might be able to contain the passing attack, but Ole Miss will be able to run the ball. And Tulane has been solid at stopping the run. They'll be able to contain the rushing attack, but Ole Miss is going to let it loose. Ole Miss should win this game, but definitely look for it to be a bit close. Tulane is a lot better than James Madison, I believe. The next game is 7 seed Texas A&M playing 10 seed Miami, a home game at College Station. It's going to be a big game, but personally, I do think Miami has the talent to go on the road and beat A&M. Miami is the type of team that I kind of realize they can compete with some very good teams, but they can also lose to some bad teams. But the talent is there. They are playing very good football lately. And I think this Miami defense is improved and they could force this A&M offense with Marcel Reed into turnovers. I think Miami will do enough to get this win on the road. And then we have 8 seed Oklahoma playing 9 seed Alabama in a rematch. Look, Oklahoma won this game last time with their defense, and Alabama just seems to have gotten worse since then. And I just don't trust this Bama team. And I think Oklahoma at home is going to definitely win this game. So give me Oklahoma beating Alabama again, winning with their defense. We move on to Indiana versus Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl. This will be played on the 1st, the new year. I really don't see Oklahoma beating Indiana, but maybe the defense makes the game interesting with turnovers because this Oklahoma defense is very good, but I also don't think they've played a lot of great offenses either. We saw how the defense did when they played Tennessee and Ole Miss. They gave around 30 points up. And I just think Indiana is one of the most elite and balanced teams in the country, and Oklahoma's defense is not on the level of Indiana or Ohio State. I think the SEC has been overvalued and overranked, and I think Indiana can win this game by double digits. The next game is 2 seed Ohio State playing 10 seed Miami. I think Ohio State has the better staff and the much better defense. They'll be able to force turnovers. Carson Beck is very turnover prone. And really, I have nothing much to say about this game. Ohio State is just the better team. But it will be evenly talent matched. Maybe Miami can compete, but I'm trusting this Ohio State team. They've been very good all year, and I think they beat Miami. We then have 3 seed Georgia playing 6 seed Ole Miss. I really don't know how this Ole Miss team is going to stay intact without head coach Lane Kiffin, but Georgia's playing their best defense right now. I think it will be close for a majority of the game, but they'll make halftime adjustments. The defense will step up. They'll shut down Trinidad Chambliss. And this Georgia Russian attack, they'll control the game, they'll control the clock, and I think they'll win it. Ole Miss just has not had a great defense this year, and they really have not been tested. So give me Georgia to beat Ole Miss again. And finally, we have 4 seed Texas Tech playing 5 seed Oregon. This would be the final of the quarterfinal games, and this will be the Orange Bowl. Georgia is playing in the Sugar Bowl. Ohio State is playing in the Cotton Bowl. Don't be surprised if it rains in this game, and Oregon is used to rainy weather. Rainy weather or not, I really like Oregon. I think their defense can match up with Texas Tech's, and I am taking the Oregon coaching staff and quarterback play to win this game. I know Tech has shut down some teams defensively this year, but Oregon has a lot better of the passing attack. When they want to let Dante Moore loose, they will let him go. Oregon has a few of their top receivers back, but number one receiver De'Corian Moore is trying to make a comeback. Look for him to be back in this game. Look for Oregon to run the ball good enough, and I think they are just more talented than Texas Tech. I think they have a good path, and I do think they will beat Texas Tech to move on to the semifinals. We then have the Peach Bowl, the semifinal game between 1 seed Indiana, 5 seed Oregon, and the rematch. This will be a night game on January 9th, and I am looking forward to this game. I really do think these teams are going to make it to the semifinals, and this rematch is inevitable. And look, when you get a chance at a team twice, I think you got to take advantage of that chance, and Dan Lanning has this team ready. Jordan Davidson only had a few carries in this game, but he ran the ball super efficiently. I think they give him more carries and they run the ball more because if you look at what they averaged per carry, it was pretty good. They just threw the ball way too many times, thrown it 34 times with Dante Moore. And look, it's hard to beat a good team twice. Indiana has had a great season up to this point, but I think they finally drop a game. Oregon was tied with this team in the mid fourth quarter, so they were in this game last time. It's not like Indiana dominated it. Oregon had a couple of bad turnovers that set Indiana up in great field position too. But I think Oregon is just playing a lot better right now. They're set up to go on a run. So give me Oregon to beat Indiana this time around. And we also will have 2 seed Ohio State playing 3 seed Georgia. I think both these teams move on. And look, I think this could be a passing of the torch type of moment. And I know maybe Kurt Cignetti, maybe Dan Lanning's looking to become the best coach in college football, but I think Ryan Day is a step ahead of them. And with Ryan Day winning a national title last year, finally beating Michigan, having this team playing consistent football, you talk about a game of a passing of a torch moment playing against Kirby Smart, who won 2 national titles a few years ago. Georgia has fell off a bit, and I just think this is Ohio State's era. I think Ohio State is the better defensive team, and I think the perimeter talent for Ohio State pays off in this game. If you really look at what Georgia did against Alabama and Texas, yes, the score looks like it was a complete blowout. But Georgia actually didn't move the ball super efficiently against Alabama. They got turnovers off of great field position and a punt block, but I just think Ohio State is a team on a different level. They struggled with Texas until the fourth quarter. It was a one possession game. Yes, their defense has stepped it up lately, but look at what they did against Georgia Tech. The offense is still having some glaring issues. And I just think the competition for Georgia has been a bit overrated. This is not the same dominant Georgia team as prior years. And with Ohio State losing that game to Indiana, they're going to play much better in the playoffs. I think they can also go on a run. And I just don't see Georgia scoring many points on Ohio State's defense. And give me Ohio State to beat Georgia and move on to the national title. And then we will have a great rematch between 2-seed Ohio State playing 5-seed Oregon for the 2026 national title. And this must suck for Oregon fans, but I think you fall to Ohio State again. I think Ohio State losing that game to Indiana will set them up for success in the postseason. I think Ohio State is elite. I know they aren't perfect and they may have weak spots, but with that loss, I do think they'll turn up in the playoffs and they'll learn from that loss and adapt. And I don't know if Oregon has the perimeter talent to stop Jeremiah Smith if they fully unleash him. I think it's going to be a close one. Do not sleep on Oregon. But I am going to roll with Ohio State to win back to back. I think they are set up to go on a run this postseason. But anyways, that is my prediction for the college football playoff bracket this season and my prediction for the 2026 national title winner. You guys let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you'll love this channel because we upload a ton of college football content and we basically cover everything on this channel. So definitely consider subscribing and also consider checking out my socials down in the description below. But that is going to do it, guys, and peace out.